In the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA096.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Hello, Taylor. How are you? Oh, you're bad.
Good.
I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, I'm bad, but I said good for this.
You backed into a fence?
Yeah, I like backed out of a driveway and I like sideswiped a fence, and the fence is fine because it's a fence, but I like the bottom plastic part of my front door of my car fell off. I'm just like,
Is it
it's
your
like,
fence?
no,
Did anybody see you do it?
no.
Did you? You know what? For liability reasons, let's not talk about this anymore.
It's just I'm just gonna go to the dealership and put a new thing on. Just like the plastic part fell off. It's fine, just annoying.
So the fence is not damaged.
No, the fence is fine.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. If you knocked over someone's fence and drove off, you're like, yeah, but the stupid plastic piece of my car is missing. It's like, yeah, you also knocked over someone's fence. Like,
No,
that's
I
a
did
bigger
not do that.
problem.
The fence is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so something good
Um,
happened. You didn't knock over a fence. There you go.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Glass half full. That is the name of the game here. Cool. Do you want to introduce us?
Yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to Doomed to Fail. We bring you history's greatest disasters and epic failures twice a week. We're figuring it out.
And I'm Fars.
Oh, I'm Taylor.
That's Taylor. I'm Fars.
Should I do that again?
It's fine. They got the gist. We're 200 and something episodes and they understand now.
Well,
Cool. Well, who is sharing first? I think it's you.
I think it's me too.
Any hints today or?
Um, no, no, but I will tell you that it is Pride Month, and several people requested this person, so I'm excited to share a story of a person from history who is a gay icon.
RuPaul?
No, RuPaul isn't like from history. They're still alive.
I mean, it's still like history's being written. I don't know.
Could be like literally anyone.
Fine. Oscar
Um,
Wilde. No, you already did Oscar Wilde.
I already did Oscar Wilde. I'm gonna pour myself some wine just to make this worse. Um, so anyway, this also ties into a request that I got so a couple of people asked for this person, and then Justin asked about duels, and I have some facts about duels because we were chatting about how you've and I have chatted about how people must have thought about life and death differently in the past,
Of
which like
course.
we
Yeah.
totally agree with. And one example that Justin had brought up and we were emailing and was duels. The fact that you could even do it. Like you get in a fight with someone and they could die.
Yeah, I just think that we like devalued life so much. I mean, think about it. You always hear the story of like so and so were married and then they had 18 kids and all but one of them died. And so you're just
Yeah,
like so used to death, like life doesn't even
exactly.
matter.
Yeah. Well, I think life still matter, but I think you're also used to death. I think it's
Sure.
both. Okay. So today we're talking about a French woman, and I'm going to try one time to say her name, and then I'm going to say her first name, but it's Julie du Aubigny, D apostrophe Aubigny, and I wrote it out phonetically for myself. But I'm just going to say Julie because her name's Julie. Get it?
I would not have guessed it. This is like the Learned League. It's like sometimes they throw something out there where I literally write the word no clue because I'm not even gonna guess. I'm like, any guess would be stupid.
I know I write something stupid every once in a while. I'm just like, I have no idea. Just like leave me alone. I know this is wrong. But anyway, Julie is later going to be Mademoiselle Maupin or La Maupin, which we can call her that too. But I'm going to do Julie because that's easier for me. I'm trying my best. So often she is described as a sword fighting, opera singing bisexual. And I wrote, who among us isn't that?
I probably wouldn't classify myself as bisexual, but yes,
And the opera singing and the sword fighting, like
the whole
the
gamut.
whole thing. Like we're all that package. So some of this might be a legend, some of it is true, some of it might be true, but I'll call out when we are more skeptical than not. But also, like, who cares? It's more fun to believe it. And also, I think a big theme that we do in this podcast is celebrate people who live the shit out of their lives, considering the horrors of being alive.
What year? Can we give me the year so I know what to?
She was born in 1673.
1673. Okay, so okay, got it.
I mean, like, it's just there's horrors constantly. So
Yeah, I think the
anyone
Black
who,
Plague might have still been going.
yeah, like anyone who ends up in history for doing something fun, 10 extra points from me, which is important. Anyway, Julie was born in 1673 or 1670. Again, who cares? Like, I don't know the exact, no one knows exactly when she was born in Paris, which reminds me of I pulled up this book, but I couldn't find the quote. This is unrelated. You don't know. Diana Vreeland is she used to be an editor at Vogue. She actually started the Met Gala. She worked at the Met Costume Institute. She's just like a fabulous woman. And one of the things that she says somewhere in this book, it's just called DV, it's great, is if you want to have an exciting life, first you must arrange to be born in Paris, which I think is just an amazing thing to say.
It's probably still exciting in Paris. You know what I was thinking about,
Yeah.
Taylor? I was having this conversation literally earlier today. Remember when we were living in LA and then there was that one like French little shop that opened like on the street on the side of the office, and it was just like this woman alone,
Yes.
like a French woman alone, and all she would serve was like these one or two types of like the prosciutto sandwiches with like a little bit of butter on it. It was just so simple and so decadent in its simplicity. I need to go to France.
I know. Yeah. So, if you can start over again, arrange to be born in Paris,
Deal.
everyone. So, Julie was born in Paris. Her father trained court pages in like sword fighting and like other things. So, all of like the young men at the palace, he taught them how to do things. And it reminds me, it's later. We're a little bit before like Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette and all of that. But there is a show about Benjamin Franklin that's on, I think, Apple TV or HBO. I don't know. But it is with Michael Douglas as Ben Franklin. I feel like I've said this to you before. But in that show, it's the time that Benjamin Franklin spent in Paris trying to get the French to join the United States in the Revolution. And during that time, he brought his grandson, and his grandson started to like learn French, and he became good friends with Lafayette, and he spent time at Versailles, and he got a job as one of these pages, and it was like 50 young dudes who like really want to be aristocrats and like are lower aristocrats in a room, and then someone will come in and be like, I have a task, and they'll all be like, me, and then like one guy will be lucky and he'll get the task, and he'll have to like, I don't know, ride to town and get a stick of butter or something, and then come back. So it was like people really wanted to do stuff.
That's cool.
It's kind of
Uh,
interesting.
Michael Douglas looks like a pretty convincing Ben Franklin
He
from his
does.
stills.
He does. In the I told you about the Who Was show that my kids are watching.
Yeah.
So there's a Benjamin Franklin one, and when they do the part where it's Benjamin Franklin discovering like electricity through lightning, it's like this man who's like super, super buff with his shirt off in the rain, like yelling, and the guy's like, "That's exactly how it happened." It's really
I'm
funny.
looking. He looks like a toad.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin was never buff. Actually, I think Michael Douglas could be a little bit chubbier to be a Benjamin Franklin. So anyway, that's what her father does. He trains those pages, and these guys are like errand boys around the palace. We're in the court of Louis the 14th. We're two kings away from the French Revolution, and Louis the 16th getting his head chopped off. He worked for a man named Louis de Lorraine Gousse Comte d'Armac. I'm so sorry, Nadine, and everyone who's offered to help me speak French. And that guy, the de Armagnac, he was someone who has a job at the palace, and his job, his family had held, or someone had had this job since the year 900. Like it is a very old job that he had in court, and it will end with his son, because his son will have the job, and then it will be the revolution, and it won't be a job anymore, which I think is like a really long time for that job to exist. So Julie is learning with the boys because her dad is teaching the boys, which is nice. So she's learning everything that they would learn. And of course, one of them is sword fighting, which is like fencing. So I'm like, I have you ever watched fencing? It's so happens so fast and it's so confusing.
Yeah, I don't understand how to. I assume there's got to be electronics underneath the suit and on the head and everything because I
Yeah.
don't know how else they know because to your point, it goes by so quick.
Well, they must have known before that somehow, but I don't know how. To your point, like it happens so quickly, and like it's so fun to watch because like the whistle blows, and then it's like swish swish, and then one person is so freaking excited, and you're like, "Great job!"
Maybe it
I
was
don't
like
know what you said.
paintball back in the day where like maybe it was like a tip that was like colored and then they count the color on you.
Ooh, maybe, maybe. So it's like I wonder how much someone who is a fencer could be in a sword fight, like a real one, like a Princess Bride style. I'm not. I'm going to cut off your stab you. You know?
My theory on anything that involves like physical confrontation is that the hardest thing is having the presence of mind to not lose your shit in the moment and
Hmm.
think about the consequences of what might happen to you.
Hmm.
And I think with fencing, the consequences are you either go out and have a nice dinner or you feel sad and then go to work the next day. But with a sword fight, you got to be like chill enough to know what you're doing. I don't know.
Right.
I think I'd rather just be chill and not be a fencer rather than to be a fencer and then get in a sword fight and not be chill.
What?
Like I think being calm is more important than having the
Right.
skill because if you have the skill but you're freaking out in your head, then the
Sure.
skill can't be put down.
Yes, I think it's a very mental game also, for sure.
Look
We've
at us,
also,
such fencing experts here.
you know me, we also have been watching the Star Wars movies and like I have been watching them like in order, starting with like the new one from like 2000 or whatever. And like they're so bad, like I can't watch them. I keep walking away, like don't even know what's going on. And now we're in the third one, so like the Revenge of the Sith, I think. And like at one point I was like I thought it was over, and then we paused it and it had 144 minutes left. I was
They're
like,
stupid long. They're so
oh,
long.
it's not over. So anyway, but they do a lot of sword fighting in that, and like I just think everybody would be dead if there were lightsabers because they're so freaking dangerous.
They're very dangerous.
So anyway, so Julie fenced, which also she could get in a sword fight. However, she learned her skills transposed into sword fighting. And when she fenced, she wore pants, which was a big deal because, girls didn't wear pants for like hundreds of years. But she was, obviously it was easier to do anything wearing pants. So she did that. She wasn't hiding her gender. She was like a girl wearing pants. And people were like, this is cool. And she was really good at it. So she's only 14. And when she's 14, her father's boss, that guy whose family has had this job for like 800 years, decides that he likes her and she becomes his mistress. He's 46 and she's 14, which I hate. And he wants to keep her around. So they did the thing that they did for Louis the 15th's girlfriend later. So like another king, they did where they had her marry someone else so she could stick around in court and not be suspicious.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you know what I mean? So this they had Julie marry a man named Sir de Maupin in 1687, and he gets sent away like illegally, like immediately, illegally. Well, the whole thing feels illegal, but immediately. So immediately he's off to do something else, and she like, doesn't see him anymore, and she can be at court and be the mistress of this older dude who's her dad's boss, which, that's bad. So eventually she gets bored of this guy and finds a new lover. This is like within a year. All this goes by really, really fast. Within a year, she meets someone else. His name is Saran, and he's also a fencing guy. And Saran kills someone in an illegal duel, and they have to run away. So then I was like,
You mean like a gun duel, or were they stabbing each other with their?
stabbing, sword fight.
Oh, okay.
It's all sword fighting. So I was also like, then I was like, okay, if you kill someone in an illegal duel, that implies that there are legal duels, right? I was like, why is this one more legal than others? So in France, dueling had once actually been legal, and it used to be like a punishment for things. So it would be like, in like early Renaissance, it was trial by combat, like we see in movies all the time where they're like, you go fight this guy in the arena or whatever, like
We've
you
all
go
seen
fight
Game of
this
Thrones.
person. Yeah. So that's what it would do. But the problem was too many people were dying. Like too many nobles were dying. Like if everybody resolves their problems by getting into a sword fight duel, we're gonna have half the people that we need to continue to rule.
Right.
So they had to make it illegal. So King Henri IV tried to suppress it in the early 1600s, and then later, some King Louis did more, and by 1626, it was officially outlawed and punishable by death or confiscation of property. So like that's so funny that like you would kill someone in a duel and then your punishment is death. Like nobody wins.
Yeah, but like
But
if you're like really good at sword fighting, then you go start shit with whoever you want because
then
yeah,
you get arrested and you get killed.
I know, but before he did this law.
Right, right. Right. You could just
The
keep doing
law is a
it.
good thing, is what I'm saying.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
If people are just like, that's how people are, everyone's resolving their problems. We should be like, calm down.
God, if they put me and you in a sword fight,
Be
like, can
like,
we just like be friends instead?
everybody calm down. We're in Paris. Let's just like eat some bread and cheese. Calm down. So Louis the 14th, who is the king at this time, enforced the ban. So in the 1660s, they like made it very clear that you cannot duel. So by now they're actually legal. Obviously, people still did them, and that's what this boyfriend of hers, Saran, was in trouble for. So privately, aristocrats could duel, and if nobody died, then it wasn't that big of a deal. If someone did die, the king could pardon someone and like kind of like let it go. But usually they would be like, don't do it. You could also duel outside of France, I guess. So if you just like cross the border, you could duel someone if you like really, really wanted to. And I'm also sure that like poor people killed each other a lot. They're
Of
probably like bar
course.
fights,
Of course.
So it's not a place where like killing someone is necessarily illegal, but like this specific thing is illegal.
It's more
It's
like wine bar fights, but yes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, exactly. I did write pub at one point, but then I changed it to an inn, like a traveling
Yeah,
inn.
that seems
You
more
know, that made
appropriate
more
for
sense.
Paris.
I don't really know the word for like a French pub in Paris. If
It's
anyone
probably
knows,
it probably sounds very posh.
pub, pub. So for whatever the reason, the Saran is charged with being in this duel. So him and Julie, they go from like Versailles area to Paris, and they made money doing fencing exhibitions. So she would still wear pants and dress like a man, and they would like go into a square and like pretend a sword fight, and people would give them money, like busking. They like do a little thing. There's a rumor of one time that people didn't believe she was a woman, and she took off her shirt, but I don't know if that's true. That's just like a fun rumor that people have. And also at this time, they were wanted by the Paris chief of police, so they had to keep hiding. And this is the first police force in Paris during this time. So they're starting to crack down on certain things, like the dueling, like things that you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So also during this time, so her and her boyfriend Saran on the run in Paris doing sword fights, having a great time, and she discovers that she can sing like the opera. Just like discovers she's naturally really, really good at it, which is cool.
Also, it's like 1700, 1600s Paris, so she didn't sing in the shower. It was actually by accident.
Yeah, I don't know how she figured it out, but she figured it out. Has not changed that much since the 1600s, so you can imagine what she sounded like. When I was researching this, I was thinking how annoying it would be if your partner was an opera singer. And then I was thinking I was like, God, I'm so glad I never dated anyone who's like a musician or a singer. And then as I was saying that, I kept remembering that I've dated so many musicians and singers, and I was just like kind of laughing to myself. I was like, I blocked it out, and that's why I hate it so much because it was like it's in my bad memories.
It's understandable.
So she can sing opera. She's really, really good at it. She joins the Opera de Marseille with her maiden name and something. The man that she was with, Saran, they break up. I don't know where he went. So now she's single again in the opera in Marseille, and she meets a young woman. And I don't know her name, but there are historical backups that like this happened. So she met a woman, they started dating, going out, they're lovers, they're girlfriends, and her family's pissed. They're like, you can't be with a woman. And they send the other woman to a convent in Avignon. And Julie is like, no, I want to be with her. So she follows her and pretends to be a nun. But that sounds, you can't, I mean, I'm sure there's a
Is
handful of
this
nuns who,
real? Come
this
on.
part is real. This part is real. So she goes to this convent with her girlfriend. They're like nuns together, which I'm sure there are plenty of lesbian nuns together, but they don't want to do it anymore. They want to run away. So this is the part that like some facts happened, but like we don't know if all these facts happened. But at one point, Julie and her girlfriend are like, we want to get out of this convent. We need to go back, live a more exciting life. So an old nun dies and they steal her body and they put it in the girlfriend's room and they set the room on fire. So the reason they did that is so that if people who found the body in the room would think it was the girlfriend and think that she was dead and her and Julie could run away together and they would never have any problems because they think that she was dead.
And this is the part you don't believe.
Well, we're still missing an entire person. Like if you take an old person's body and burn it, pretending it to be a young person, don't you think at some point someone's going to be like, where'd that old lady go?
I
Like
guess.
you're
I
missing
guess.
an entire
I just
human.
assumed record keeping was lax in those days,
But
but
it's not
yeah,
even record keeping. It's like there was used to be a lady here. Now she's not here.
it's fair. It's fair. This
So,
this is all giving like Sister Act vibes. That's why I'm like,
yes,
it's a little dubious, but yeah.
it's a little dubious, but there are records, court records, because Julie was charged in absentia by the parliament with kidnapping, body snatching, arson, and failure to appear before court. And she was sentenced to death by burning. But they didn't have her. That was all in absentia. Like she wasn't there. So there was like this, just like a warrant kind of out for her arrest for this thing. And it's interesting because they would charge men sometimes during this time for like homosexuality, but part of her charges here was just kidnapping and body snatching, like nothing to do with her sexuality. Although they did address her in the things as like sir, because they it was like a manly crime. So it's like kind of a they're trying to figure it out too, but they're like, we're not going to arrest, like we're not going to charge her for also being gay during this.
It's so interesting because it's France, like whatever.
Well, no, you're exactly right because the king's brother, Philippe Dueling, was openly gay at Versailles. You know, and if you watch the show Versailles, I think there's like, I don't know how many seasons there are, but the first episode is just like, oh, everyone here is gay. Like it's just like they're just like having a great time. You know, and you're like, okay, well, they were doing it, but in other places, like you get in trouble for doing it.
Yeah, just the privilege. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So she gets back to Paris somehow. Her girlfriend gets taken back to her family. They don't see each other again, and Julie is only 16 now. So in the past 2 years, she married the old guy, had a boyfriend, ran away, and then did this thing, this like body snatching nun thing, and now she's back. So yes, that's my recap. Mistress with an older man, gets married to someone she never sees again, runs away with a sword fighter, discovers she can sing, runs away again to be done with her girlfriend, burns a nun's body, has a death sentence for burning, and now she's in Paris dressing like a man to avoid being killed.
Yeah, she
So
packed a
we're
lot in.
packed a lot in. So now, at one point, she's in a pub. This is when I wrote pub roadside inn, because wherever she is, and she meets a man who calls her like she's dressed like a man, and she meets a man who calls her basically like a sissy because she's a effeminate man, even though she's a woman. And his name is Comte d'Albert, and she duels him and injures him, but she helps him back to health, and they become lovers briefly, and then friends for the rest of their lives. Just like good friends after that. Like, how'd you meet? Oh, I she stabbed me.
Well,
Um, and he's like, girl, you should be singing and not going around dueling people in bars. Like, you're talented, don't do this, you're gonna die. So she calls up her old boyfriend, the old man that she had been with, who was her dad's boss. And in 1689, he asks the king for a pardon for Julie. He says she's young, she kidnapped a nun, but she never killed anyone. Like, man, like that body was like already dead, and like all the things. So she gets a pardon at like 17 or 19, depending on the date of her birth. And she enters society in Paris. And then she joins the Paris Opera. And she obviously starts like dating, I'm gonna say, men and women in the show, like people around. She's like a part of society. She debuts in 1690. She's great. She's not the star of the show, but people really love her. And it's so fun to like go see someone in a play who possibly killed a nun. Like that makes it more fun, you know? Like, oh, she's a sword fighter, maybe she killed a nun. Like it's exciting. So people go, they see her. And there's a lot of opera history in this as well that I don't pretend to understand. I have been to the opera several times, but it's a whole separate quest on the opera. But one thing that was interesting is that her natural voice was deeper. So she sang at a mezzo soprano or contralto. I don't know what that means, but that kind of changed the female characters that she was able to play. So they were able to write operas with more like villains and like, evil queens and stuff. She had this like cool deep voice that could sing their evil songs, which is fun. So you're like, that sounds great. Why didn't she just stay there forever and be in the Paris Opera for the rest of her life? Is the story over? It is not over because something happens. I don't know what happens, but here's the rumor of what happens. In 1695, she definitely moves to Brussels under an assumed name. Like, that is true. She did that. She left Paris, moved to Brussels, was like undercover hiding from something. The rumor is that she went to a ball at Versailles dressed like a man and kissed a woman on the dance floor. And three men who were suitors of that woman got mad, and she dueled all of them and killed all three. So it's very bad if it's true. Maybe it's partially true. There's another rumor of her dueling a male singer after he was mean to a woman at the opera. So she's like still dueling people. Maybe has killed one to three people, like for real killed people. But either way, she had to leave Paris for some reason that is real. So there's like, why? I don't know for sure. But I do know she had to leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she goes to Brussels around 1696 and joins the opera there, where she hooks up with Maximilian the Second Emmanuel, the Elector of Bavaria. So he's like a government official. And so she's with him, and there's things like she was so dramatic in the shows that one time she actually stabbed herself because that's what her like character was supposed to do. And Maximilian was like, "This is a little bit too much for me. Like, I need you to leave Brussels." And he throws a bag of coins at her feet, and she doesn't take it, and she walks away. I think that you should always take the money. I just want to make that very
Yeah, of
clear.
course. Yeah, yeah. You should definitely have the money.
So like I read one thing that was like maybe because she was so like irrational, so like maybe she really walked away and didn't take it. But I'm also like she wasn't stupid. Like take the money. That's dumb. So she leaves Brussels, goes to Madrid. There's another weird story where she worked as a maid for a countess, and she like hated the countess, so she put radishes in the countess's wig to embarrass her at a party. I don't know if that's true. That's silly. Like she put like a bunch of radishes in her hair. In 1698, she got another pardon and her exile was resolved. So she got another pardon for maybe killing those guys at Versailles, maybe not, whatever it was that happened that made her leave. She got another pardon, went back to Paris, and rejoined the opera. While she was in the opera, she was a leading lady from 1698 to 1705. And again, she was like super popular. Again, she was so mysterious. Like she disappeared for a while, she's back. Some people said she had the most beautiful voice in the world. She got in a fight with someone on stage one time and bit their ear really hard. Not like off, but like bit their ear. So she's like very dramatic. People love seeing her. So while she's there, like as an opera singer, she's like late 20s, early 30s. She meets a woman named Fanchon Moreau. I want to go Moreau. And Moreau is also a opera singer. And they fell in love. And then, oh no, actually in this one, that woman uh, rebuffed her advances, and so Julie attempted to die by suicide, but it didn't wasn't successful, and she like came back to the opera. There's just a lot of again opera history in there. She sang for the king at Versailles, so like he obviously forgave her. He like she gets to go back to Versailles whether whatever happened or not. In 1703, Julie falls in love with a woman named Madame la Marquise de Florensac, a noblewoman who was called the most beautiful woman in France. So the most beautiful woman in France and the woman with the most beautiful voice in the world, they lived together for 2 years, just incredibly happy. They said they dwelt in such affection they believed to be perfect. So they lived together, had a great time, and Madame la Marquise, she was someone who had was like also had her own scandals. Like she at one time also fled to Brussels because the Dauphin wouldn't stop like talking to her, like the guy who was going to be king. Like she had to like get away from him, that kind of thing. So they were really, really happy. And then in May 1705, there was an opera written specifically for Julie, and that was her last performance because her girlfriend gets sick, and she dies in July of 1705, and as soon as she died, Julie was just so upset that she retired from opera and she kind of disappears. So some people think that she went back to her husband, who's that guy that she had been married to this entire time, who she barely knew, and she married when she was 14 so she could have an affair with the other guy. Or she went to a convent and was like, I'm going to go back to a convent. I don't know why any nuns would trust her and let her into a convent. But either way, she died. We know she died in 1707, but we don't know how, probably just because of the horrors of being alive. But she died when she was 33-ish, depending on how old you think that she really was. But after her girlfriend died, she never went back to opera.
So she packed a lot in, and she also makes me think that Arya Stark was based on her.
Oh, maybe.
It's like there's so many overlaps here.
Yeah.
The crazy
Yeah.
decisions, the murders, the everything.
Like the in and out of good graces of everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What
Yeah.
a wild story.
Yeah.
Well, the historical figure. And there is a play called Julie the Musical. They came out in 2022 that is based on her life.
Oh, fun. A lot of fun sword fighting in there.
Yeah, yeah, looks like it does pretty good. Won some awards. Sweet. Wait, so how did you find out about this?
A couple people asked me about it. They just forwarded me a couple things and were like, "Have you heard of this bisexual queen?" And I was like, "I have not." It's badass women, so that'll be fun.
Very, very fun. It's a
Hmm.
shame that with folks in history that back in time, there's like really no good pictures of them.
I
Because you
know.
want to be able to put a face to a name, and like I'm looking at her
I know we're
Wikipedia.
like almost there because if you look at like if you click to like her that first man that she had been with, if you click on him, he the Comte Armagnac, he you can see a painting of him that I feel like I get what he looks like, you know? But that's because he had a higher status, so we have those better paintings of him,
Yeah.
you know?
Which also looked at that and was like, why did everybody look the same? They all had this derpy look in their face.
Well, they're all French.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
can't help it, I guess. Sweet. Well, thank you for sharing.
You're
Do you
welcome.
have anything to read out?
I do. We are at a stalemate on whether or not coconuts are good. It is 2-2. It is me and Morgan against you and Nadine. So thank you, Morgan and Nadine, for both immediately messaging me and telling me that I was either right or wrong about coconuts. So we're tied.
Can Juan be the tiebreaker?
No, because I think he likes them.
You are so offsides on this one.
Uh, yeah, so let us know how you feel about coconuts, the raw ones. Doomtofellpod@gmail.com and
What do
on
you mean
all
the
of those.
raw ones? When have you had a cooked coconut?
I mean,
They're
like
only
coconut
raw.
flavor and like a curry, like that I like.
Oh, yeah,
And I
okay.
assume that's
You mean just
made out
eating
of a
coconut?
coconut,
Yep,
you
yep.
know? Like I don't mind, like I will drink a pina colada.
You don't like the white flesh when you like peel it
That's what I
off?
mean. Yeah,
You don't like that.
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I do not like.
So good.
2-2.
I'd be totally fine being on a deserted island with full of coconut trees because like it's a perfect food. Like it's got liquid in it. It will hydrate you. It'll give you electrolytes, and then you can eat the meat, and then you feel satiated.
I know we've all seen Moana. We know.
I've never seen Moana.
Okay, well, everyone else has seen Moana.
Everyone else has seen Moana. Okay,
And we know that the coconuts give them all they need.
there you go.
And they love the coconuts.
Write to us at doomfellpod@gmail.com if you are pro coconut or anti coconut. Which, if you're anti coconut,
But then my question is also, do you like the flavor? Because like the flavor of coconuts in like a pina colada, like how real coconut is that? Like I love like a banana runt, but I know a banana runt doesn't taste like a banana.
when's the last time you had a coconut?
Like literally 6 months ago, Miles and Wong got them from a guy on the side of the road.
Okay, so Miles is on my side too.
I don't know how many he ate. I'll ask him.
So you're trying to rig this game because you're like trying to limit the amount of voices we're hearing from.
I just think we should open up our pool of people, not just my family.
Fair, fair. Sweet. Anything else, Taylor?
That's it. Thank you. Find us everywhere that you go to socials and listen on Doom to Fail Pod. Please tell your friends.
That'll do it. We'll go ahead and cut things off there.